During the 3rd century AS, the island that Fengdonian scholars called Fenghua was shrouded in mystery, with only a handful of scholars even believing it existed. The island would fade in and out of obscurity until the 1st century HS, with the expansion of the Kisarani Empire over the northwest of the island they called Arkikasas. During this invasion, they met and interacted with multiple different tribes of people who they found to be entirely unique from the people on the mainland. It is unclear about the tribal divisions that existed during this time, mainly because of the lack of evidence from the period. What Kisarani sources that remain rarely differentiate between different peoples, referring to them all as Lunafnia. However, by turning to the archaeological record, such as burial sites, coin hoards, and surviving native written records, historians have been able to speculate on what pre-Kisaran borders of Rowkhu might have looked like. The first tribe we will be looking at are the Cernoi Lunafnia, a rare case of a tribe being specified in Kisarani records. They are mentioned during the first landing of Malik Ilu Nanuk, where the Cernoi Lunafnia, under a king named Sunag, had been able to defeat his forces as they disembarked from their ships. These records describe their tribal lands as having reached only as far south as rivers Sni and Umbrai. Using this information, it's possible to then draw a potential border for the Sunoi Lunafnia like this, occupying much of the peninsula in the northwest. This is reinforced by the large number of coins minted with King Sunag's name found in the region. The next tribe we will look at are the Snare Lunafina, a much larger kingdom centered around the great river Ia. They had been able to gain the subjugation of all the kings that surrounded them, creating a system of tributary states to serve as a buffer against invasion. This claim is supported by stone tablets sent by King Vilu Lusua demanding the Kisarani governor who then ruled over the Cernoi Lunafnia to take an oath of fealty. The coins of the Snare Lunafina are found all across the western portion of Rowkhu, reaching down the southern coast and deep into the more unsettled east. There are also coins from a number of other tribes found in their territory too, suggesting the Snare Lunafina were a major economic power on the island. By using this map of recovered coins, as well as burial sites where powerful lords had been laid to rest, it's possible to draw the borders like this, mainly encompassing the river Ia and its tributary rivers. However, a handful of historians have proposed that they reached much further east, reaching the smaller river of Hunai, but there is little evidence for this outside of a single deposit of coins found there. Moving further south, we reach two tribes that are very difficult to differentiate between, being called the Shier Lunafnia and the Shuo Lunafnia. The only records that these two tribes are ruled separately exist in a handful of stone tablets found in the region, with the coins being very difficult to tell apart, the only differences being with slight changes in the patterns and metals used. What information that is known is that both of the kings of these southern tribes were under the overlordship of King Vilu Lusua. Using the coins found in the region, it has been possible to separate the two tribes and to draw their boundaries like this. The south is defined by a long chain of standing stones, raised by the Liok Si Vula. The border between the two tribes can be placed at the foot of the Tnut mountain, with the Shier Lunafnia to the west and the Shuo Lunafnia to the east. The first tribe of the southwest we will be looking at are the Liok Si Vula, mentioned previously. When comparing the cultural differences of different tribes, it's most clearly seen at the border with the Cernoi Lunafni's tributary states and the Liok Si Vula, where a large number of standing stones and other henges begin to appear. A large amount of these stones were used to form a frontier with the subjugated tribes to their north. The letters carved into them suggest their use as a basic way to mark out where tribal authority stopped, thus making finding the northern border rather simple. However, when looking to the south, it once again becomes necessary to turn to coin records, with examples of currency being spread over much of the southwest, stopping at river borders with their neighbours. Going around these boundaries, we can draw the borders like this, the north being defined by the standing stones, and the south by the coast and being cut off to the east and west by rivers. To the east of the Liok Vula, stone tablets speak of a group of people who called themselves the Vune Fure, who inhabited the southwestern tip of Rowkhu and the island of Vuchta. Coins with the names of three kings have been found there. These kings have also been immortalized in a handful of stone tablets found in the tribe's territories. With this information, it's easy to determine the potential borders for them, with the Liot Sivula to the east and the island and the rest of the peninsula under the rule of the Funefere. To the southeast, we find the remains of the Vulania Si Malioct. The vast majority of their coinage is spread between the rivers Ulaine in the south and Usiet in the north. Not much about these people has survived to the modern age, meaning it's difficult to determine their borders using native accounts. However, by using coins and foreign records, it's theorized their borders look like this, stretching mainly across the coast, with the majority of their settlements appearing to be along the seafront. Moving further east, we reach the peninsula of Vushgala, the home of the ancient Vulashgan Vula, for which the land gained its name. Coins found across the region tend to bear the name of the tribe and are scattered across the peninsula. A major finding that will help us map out the tribal land is a well-preserved treaty. It dictated the border with the tribes to the north, placing it along the rivers Ulaine and Uvun. Using this information, we can draw the borders to look like this, occupying most of the peninsula and stopping at the two northern rivers. Around the Hulot Sea live the remains of the Muchkule. The marks their people left on the land are easy to see, with the remains of great dikes and earth mounds being spread across the coastal areas and far beyond. Atop many earthen mounds are ruins, inside of which examples of coins from all over the western portion of Rowkhu can be found. These artifacts suggest the existence of a flourishing river-based trade across the region. Surviving coins minted by the kings of the tribe are spread across the land surrounding the sea and up and down the rivers that flow into it. Alongside recovered coinage there also lies a string of old fortifications in the east, most likely being used to defend from raids from the people there. Using this information, we can draw a possible border to look like this, with the majority of the territory centered around the Hulot Sea and spreading east, stopping at the old fortifications. To the south, the border runs along the river Bugast, stopping at the Uwai mountain range, where they meet with the Vushgan Vula. The final tribe we will look at in this video are the Ulalin linear, being found in the south of Rowkhu. A stone tablet found in the lands of the Muchkule described them as having been recent arrivals to the region, with modern historians suspecting them to have been a group of nomadic peoples from the Far East that migrated then settled down. By consulting a few coins that line the region, it is believed that they would have been very decentralized peoples, shown by the lack of any densely placed coin hoards, instead being scattered across their territory. This backs up the fact they were people who had recently settled in the area, as they were not able to centralize as other tribes in the area had been able to. When using the found coins, we can draw the borders to look like this, stopping at the river Funach to the east and being blocked in from the north and west by their neighbours. By looking at the completed map of Lunafnian tribes on western Rowkhu, we can gain a slight insight as to what their world might have looked like. This can let us explore the pre-conquest politics of Rowkhu and speculate on what the lives of people back then might have been like. This video has only really focused on the West due to their use of self-minted coins, making mapping out territory a much simpler process. This is almost never seen on the eastern portion of the island, where the people are believed to have relied much more on a barter-based economy. I might do a similar video for eastern tribes should enough people be interested.